Hello, and welcome to another episode of the M42 Adventures podcast. I am your host, Rick Trimmer, and I am excited about this one. We got a new episode coming out that is with my good friend, Eric Chesser. He is the founder of Hush and Hushin, and just a good dude. I met him a couple years ago on a Hawaii hunt for the first time, our Hawaii archery axis bow hunt, or I guess I said archery twice. And he came out. Had never met him before, didn't know anything about him, which is actually quite crazy because he's all over everything. And once I started looking into him, he's everywhere. We were actually in Hawaii and he was signing autographs and got to know him a lot better. And he's just a good dude. So I'm excited for this one. We're going to jump in some questions that I have for him. He's obviously in the hunting world, but I have a lot of questions for him about his entrepreneurship and living his dream. So excited for this one. Hopefully you'll tune in and let's jump into this conversation. But yeah, like I was saying, you get around, man. You travel a lot, and obviously M42 Adventures is an outdoor company. We kind of focus on hunting because I love it and it's a passion. But we're gonna do everything. We got a lot of cool adventures coming up next year, surfing, different things. But the reason I was excited to have you on is obviously your background in hunting and all these different things. But what really inspires me about you, Eric, is you're living the dream, right? And you know that. I think you wake up every day and you realize that. And so I want to go into that initially is first of all, how did you get started into hunting? How did this, not even necessarily, is it Hush or Hushin? I get both.
Yeah, we probably haven't done the best job on that because across platforms, you're trying to get names that are the same. The
It's so
brand,
hard.
the LLC is Get Hushin LLC.
Okay.
Hushin was the original name of the YouTube channel that my partner Casey had. It was called Hushin with Levere, which Hushin is hunting and fishing kind of put together. But
Love
I'd
it.
say the brand name really now is Hush.
Hush. Okay. People don't realize how difficult it is. I don't know if you know our story, but we started out as Exodus. And I spent thousands of dollars on everything for that, and then found out there's a company in, I don't even know, West Virginia that is Exodus and has a podcast, and we had to change and we lost 2 months of time and thousands of dollars. So to find that trademarkable name is tough.
Yeah, it really is. And then to try to get it across social platforms, and you always want to be consistent as possible. But that's a big piece of the puzzle, picking like a brand name is getting.
I love that one. I love the one you came up with. I think that's, it's a unique word, but it means something. So it's very cool.
Yeah, Casey started that channel Hushin with Levere years ago. Then it kind of adapted to Hush. And again, it just stands for hunt, fish, put together. But we couldn't get the .com. I think our .com is gethushin.com.
Okay.
So some of the things aren't perfectly consistent, but like you mentioned, when it comes to starting a business, getting the .com, the IG name and everything, like it is difficult. So it's hard to find something that's not utilized in our industry or another industry. So
it's tough.
You have to pick a name.
Yeah, that's why M42, people are like, what's that? And I'm like, it's, we were starting with Orion, and M42 is the like scientific name for Orion's, the nebula of Orion in the sky. So we had to go deeper because Orion, everything's been taken. So we went a little bit deeper and found something that was available. But man, it's tough. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I had that experience with my dog chew company, with being a partnership in the company that's called All In. And the meaning behind that, and being able to get the .coms and what the meaning truly is. And then Outfitted was a clothing brand I started. So again, you're trying to like misspell and stylize words in a way that you can, have permissions to use them.
Exactly. Get the URLs.
So hard anymore.
It is.
So everyone's spelling things just like totally wrong, just get like a .com, but it's a fun game.
It is. So, okay. So how did you get started in this? I mean, were you just raised? It seems like I've gone back on your social media, and I'll get into that a little more too, where you've been doing this. You're like an OG in this, right? You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. So my dad grew up here in Utah. I'm in Salt Lake, but my dad grew up in central Utah in a small town called Fillmore. which was actually the first state capital of Utah. A lot of people don't know that, like a little tiny town.
Yeah.
But he grew up there, and hunting was a lifestyle. Hunting was his means of providing for his family. He had a lot of siblings, and, you know, didn't
They
seem
didn't
like,
do it for the likes. They didn't do it. They did
oh,
it to survive.
dude, my dad is still living proof that like people hunt for food. So
I
for
love it.
example, I'm going to share this story real quick. In Utah, when you apply for like our limited entry or big bull elk hunts, it's $15 a year application fee. And it's going to take you 10 to 20 years to draw. So you're racking up application fees. And then when you draw, it's like, I don't know what it is currently, but let's say it's like $350 for a resident to get like a big bull tag. And I think my dad was up to like year 8, and I'm usually the one who would go online and do the application for him. And he says, son, calls me up before application series, season. And he says, son, don't put me in for that big bull hunt anymore. I'm so sick of paying $15. I'll just get a spike tag and go down there at Walmart, get it for $35. And the meat's way better than those big bulls. And I was like completely shocked. I was like, Dad, you don't want to hunt like a big bull in your lifetime? Oh, I don't care. I hunt for the meat. The meat's better. It's $30.
That's
And I
awesome.
said, Dad, I am going to take it upon myself to apply for you. I will take care of the fees that, come along with it. And when you draw, I'm going to take you to hunt bull elk. It was that season that he drew the tag
Oh, that's
for
awesome.
his limited entry elk hunt. And we went and hunted together with a muzzleloader, and he got like a nice 6-point. But just living proof that, like, I think too many people are wound up, especially in Utah, about the score, the size, et cetera, et cetera. People still, including myself, like we desire to provide, hunt for the meat. And there's still just a giant crowd, which is probably more common than the trophy hunters that are out there hunting to provide for their family.
Absolutely. I just drew, it's on my wall here. I drew the Penguich Lake tag last year, and it took me, I think, like it was muzzleloader. I'd been putting in for rifle. My kids are young, and I wanted them to be old enough to come along with me, and so I kind of defaulted to rifle because I knew I wouldn't draw. And then I thought, okay, now I want to go, and so I put in for muzzleloader. So I had like 23 or 4 points though. It was a long time, and I rented a big old cabin up in Penguich Lake, and I invited friends from all over the country to come out because you know how hard it is. I mean, it's so rare,
Right.
and for me, hunting is being with people. You know
Mhm.
that I've told you that in Hawaii. You know, it's like 80% of it for me is just spending time with people. I don't necessarily need the meat, and I'm not that big on trophies. Obviously it's cool when you get a big one, it's exciting, but when I shot mine, I rented the cabin. I think it was a 14-day hunt. I passed up 6 or 7 larger bulls, and over the course of that, I shot it on the 12th day, and over the course of those 12 days, I hunted with 27 different people. Came
Mm.
up to my cabin, and I had buddies coming from San Diego that hunted for like 3 days. I had some buddies from St. George for 3 days. And we'd go out there and calling them, and they're rutting and, just tearing stuff up. And a lot of these guys have never experienced that in their life. And to me, if you've never hunted elk, it's a life changer for me, especially in the rut. To have that thing screaming 20, 30 yards out and pushing trees over and chasing cows, it's a different experience. And I was able to give that to 7 or 8 people that have never even heard of that. And I ended up shooting like I don't even know, 340, 350 bull. I don't even know what it is. I never even scored it. Never even scored it. And I will cherish that for the rest of my life because of the experience, and so I think you're right. I love that there's people like that, like your dad, who are still out there doing it for not, and the other reason maybe it's not wrong, but I love that it just seems more pure when your
Yeah.
dad's doing it for that.
Yeah. And we had a similar experience like you just shared. So opening day 1, we get on this bull bugling. It turned out to be probably the biggest one that we saw the entire hunt. And we had this thing just giving us a show at like probably 50 to 70 yards, just coming in. And we had a decoy there with my brother. I was there calling, and this bull was just doing a dance and bugling his face off and chuckling and just everything you would dream of in a hunting scenario with a muzzleloader. And my dad was on the shooting sticks, and it was literally the first elk we saw on our hunt. And I was like, Dad, do you want your hunt to end? And he said, no.
Awesome.
Sure, that was the biggest bull of that hunt. We didn't shoot one that big, but had we shot it, like, I know
You go
I'm
home.
busy, he's busy. You'd go home when that was over. But instead, we had like 8 or 9 days of father, son. My other brother came and other people, like you said, a few people kind of came in and out of the scene. And we would have never had those memories had we just taken the big one. So it was a good reminder that it's not just about that. Like, it's not about the size. It is fun to shoot and pursue the big animals, but it's about the memories made and the people you share with, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you grew up in it. It sounds like you were just raised that way. What, what brought you into, because one thing that's very unique, I think, I'm new to this world. You know that, my story. I'm new to podcasting and all this
Yeah.
social media stuff. But when I first met you, it was 2 years ago in Hawaii. I didn't know who you were. You're out there signing autographs and stuff on Molokai where there's like, you know, 40 residents. And I'm like, who are you again? Like that was a weird, kind of eye opening thing. But I remember walking past your bed, yours and Ben's, which I'm recording with Ben later today, I told you. And you guys have mountains of camera gear and all this stuff. And I says, oh man, that makes me nervous because I don't like that. And it's probably a lot because I don't understand it. But you enjoy
Oh, yeah.
filming. Like
Yeah.
I got on your social media before this call. You're out there recording as a young punk kid. I mean,
Mhm.
before anybody even knew that you never. I bet I would imagine you never thought this was going to be a career.
Yeah. All
I
to share
love
this,
that.
to connect the dots for you, the camera took place of the weapon for me. So when I was young, my dad would take me hunting. And when I first saw my dad harvest a cow elk and go through the gutting process, I was kind of like, whoa, dang, I don't know if I like all that. I don't know if I'd want to be in on all that mess. And, that was the first time I got to see something harvested. So that kind of I didn't like it. I was a
Intimidated
young
you.
kid and I went hunting, but I never shot anything. So there was a period of time where I put down the weapon, picked up a camera, and I think I got like a high 8 Sony video camera for a Christmas gift at like, dude, like 13 or 14 years old. And most kids, back then in middle school, high school, they weren't running around with a video camera. That was
No.
something parents had. So, I always say thanks to my parents because I know that they went and financed that through RC Willie,
That's
the
awesome.
local furniture
Yeah.
store
That's
here in
awesome.
Utah. So that's kind of where the camera came into play. So I did start hunting. I watched my grandpa and my dad harvest elk, and I just didn't love it. So, but I still love to pursue them. So what I did is just picked up a camera instead. And through like photography class in high school, I just grew a love for capturing. So for years there was a huge gap through my teenage years where all I did was film them. And then that's when I got addicted to shed antler hunting. So it was
Interesting.
like it was a fun way to pursue and capture them and hunt them and follow them through shed antler season. But I didn't want to shoot one
Hmm.
until I was about 21 when I started getting into the gym. I was lifting weights a lot. I was, young kid, like, all right, we got to eat tuna fish. We got to go to Costco to get the bulk chicken.
Yeah.
Sitting there like, I still love to hunt with folks and I would film their hunts, but I still hadn't pulled the trigger. So I decided about, I think it was age 20, that I was going to go get a tag. My current boss at the time, landscaping, his name's Ben. He invited me on a hunt with him and his friends. And that's when I shot my first mule deer. That was the first harvest. And it was a little bittersweet because, I didn't love the idea of that you had to kill the animal but I wanted the meat because I wanted the meat to replace the store-bought stuff I was just spending, tons of money on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started in the hunting. So again, backtracked the previous 5, 6 years, I'm just camera guy. So it didn't really hit me like how you said, you love it, you enjoy it, you do it, and you've done it for a while. A few years ago, someone asked me a question on, I think, Instagram, just, hey, Q&A. And someone said, do you ever get sick of filming your hunts? And it kind of like, that was the first time anybody asked me that. You know what I mean? And I think most people are looking at it from the lens of, oh man, in the moment, I just forget, or it seems annoying to get the cameras ready and get it out. So I'm just in the moment doing it.
Mhm.
My habit, my normal is I see or feel something cool is going to happen. And my habit is camera.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it
I
is
like that.
is my first reaction. So when that person asked me that question, you get sick of it. My reply was, I don't know any other way.
Yeah. That's a good
That's when it
I
hit
like
that's
that.
when it hit me, but that I'm like, this is literally what I do because I built that habit. It's not annoying. It's my thing when I was young was to go capture footage and race home as fast as possible to plug in that audio and that video and the VHS and just have either my parents, a sibling, or even a friend, just all I wanted to do was show them my footage because in my eyes, these were people that were missing out on all these cool experiences. And if I felt like if I can share the content, I could inspire them or motivate them to get involved or come with me. And so
That's
when I think
awesome.
about like what this has become with, when social media opened, like it went from chat forums really quick, there was chat forums, then it went to digital platforms like Facebook, YouTube. Dude, I just have a love to share content and I always hope that it inspires and motivates someone. So my audience went from like 3 or 4 people in the basement to just hundreds of thousands, but it's the same thing. It's just the audience has grown.
I love that. That's actually good for me because I do look at it, I look at it. I was just in Alaska, right? I just got home a few days ago. And Ricky, he's my camera guy. He couldn't make it on this trip, and so he sent me with drones and GoPros, and I have a big old bag of stuff. And I didn't take the drone out. I didn't take a go. I think I took the GoPro out for a few minutes, snapped some video on my phone and stuff. But I'm one of those guys that looks at it like it's taking away from my experience. I went I went and traveled for 7 years with my wife and kids, and my wife would be like, "We got to get a picture in the beginning." She's like, "We got to get a picture with this backpack or this, stroller." And I'm like, "What are we doing? We don't need the money. What's happening?" And so I think that's how I was brought into that world was you take photos and pictures to monetize it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's not what. And so I love hearing this different side from you because that does change it for me because you're right. There's a lot of people, when I filmed a video of us reeling in a big old halibut up there on the boat and I shared it and my aunt put, "I will never make it up there." That was beautiful to see that experience and I felt like I was with you and I got like cold chills, and I'm like, "Whoa." So I think that you're right. I think I need to look at it like you are and not that it's this dirty thing that you're trying to capitalize on, but that you're really genuinely trying to reach people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, being in the spot like I am, people come up with assumptions why I did something, why I'm posting something, why I'm doing something. And clearly there is, over time, there's been this new addition to partnerships and monetizing it and building a brand that has, that wasn't there in the beginning. The goals never change, but yes, there are some new things in. So people are going to make assumptions and start to think, make up a story in their own head, what your intentions are. And I'm always just like, nobody under like I share stuff and try to tell my story the best I can on social media, but I never take comments like that serious because I'm like, if they've never walked in my shoes, they don't know my story. Like I can't even take their comments serious because they have no clue how I did this and how long it's taken to do it and my true passion for filming, where it started, why I do it, why I love to share and inspire. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
they
a
don't know you, they don't know you and that's it. When you see somebody on Instagram, it's like you don't know what they're doing it for. You have no idea. And I actually have that down on my list, that one of the biggest things that I respect about you is you talk the talk, but you walk the walk. And I don't mean that as far as, the way I meant that was you're an outdoorsman, you're a killer. I mean, in Hawaii, like we all, I go down and sit in a blind that's, 200 yards off the road and I'm like, well, this will work. It's easy. And you're like, I want to go to the top of that mountain. And I'm like, bro, they're down here, man. You don't have to. And you're like, I just want it to be hard. I want to earn it. I remember you coming, and we all remember you coming out of the woods with your little visor light on, and you carried that deer. I actually went down to your water hole this last year. That's a steep, steep mountain out of that water hole, that you came up out of with a deer on your back. And so you're not only that, but then to learn how good of a person you are, like you're grounded, you're not cocky. And that to me is, I respect that way more than anything else, that you're a good person. And so, yeah, the people who are going to reach out and, keyboard warriors, right? And trolls, I mean, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. It's like, go away, until you hang out with me for a week in camp, then you can judge me, or months, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I to me, like this is my normal. People see me and maybe I have a following or they consider me to be popular, whatever. And I'm like, this is just my normal. And it has happened over so long. Now, if I went from like 0 followers to 1 million overnight, that'd probably be like a giant shock.
Mhm.
But I've done this from like age 12, shed hunting, to like 13 or 14, getting a camera, and to now it being a career. And so like that's, 25 years plus, and this is just my normal. So I get people coming to meet me, or they'll be around, or they'll meet me at an event, or like you said, Hawaii. And the number one compliment is like, dude, you're just like the same on camera. And
You're a
I'm like,
regular guy.
I didn't create a character. I'm literally just documenting and sharing and showing you guys and inviting you guys the opportunity to come get to know me and follow along with the adventure.
Yeah, it keeps freezing up on us a little bit. I remember, the cool thing about Hawaii, the one thing that I liked about that was we were sitting there having lunch, having poke bowls, right? And this
Yeah.
Toyota comes barreling up, like, parks on the sidewalk, jumps out. He's like, "Eric Jesser, what up, brother?" "Yeah, I knew you were on Molokai," and he's all excited, and you know, and I was just like, "What is happening?" And you says, once it got, I was just kind of a fly on the wall watching the whole experience happen. And you were cool. You took photos with him, shook his hand, hung out for a second. And I says, that's wild, man. And is that weird? And he says, it's been happening for a long time. You said the weird thing about it is they know a lot about me and I've never met them. So they feel like they have this relationship and I don't have that. I don't know them. And so that's got to be a little weird when they come up and just start talking about everything you've ever done.
Yeah. It's kind of relatable on my side too. So when people come up, they're like, dude, I feel like I know you. My first go-to line is like, oh, you don't know anything about me. And they're like, I know your favorite ice cream. I know the bulls you killed. I know what book, like they start lining it up. And I'm like, yeah, you do actually know me pretty good. But I always like to share and just like show them that I understand, because there's people in my life that I've looked up to, followed on social media. And when I meet them in person, I know the feeling of like, dude, I feel like I know this person, and they know nothing about me. So that's happened to me in Vegas, running into people, with millions of followers, and me just being like, hey, what's up? And they're like, whoa, dude, like, who are you? And it's like, oh, shoot,
Yeah.
like, I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
So I look at it from I get it, when people say like, oh, is it weird to like give someone an autograph? And I go, well, if I was younger and I wanted an autograph, it would be from Ken Griffey Jr., Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire. I was a big baseball fan. And Brian Call said it best. We did a podcast and he said, if someone is that, like, if you've impacted someone's life so positively that they want your autograph, that's like a huge compliment. So that's how I take it. I'm never going to deny somebody an autograph. I think that's rude. If it means something to them, I'm for sure going to take the time out of my day to take a picture or an autograph. Um, but on that topic, a funny story, a total archery challenge. I have a good friend, Isaac Aliman. We've worked with him, through different companies over years in the industry. He was at Easton. He's now at All In. Well, his son, Isaac Jr., was a big Hush fan, and we were up there at Total Archery Challenge, and his son comes up, hey man, can I get your autograph? And I kind of like brushed him off, because I'm like, dude, we are friends. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of weird. Like, dude, you don't want my autograph, whatever. Well, his dad pulled me aside later that day. It was like, dude, my boy came over and said, like, you denied him to give an autograph, man. He's just, oh man, it really hurt him. And I was like, Isaac, he's just a buddy. I said, come over here, Isaac. What? I'm sorry, man, and like gave him an autograph on the hat. But yeah, if you think about it, though, if someone's wanting a picture, if someone's wanting an autograph, like, you must have impacted their life positively in some way. So that's how I look at it now.
That's awesome, man. I love that. So real quick, okay, so you got into it late. That surprises me actually that you're that late. 20. I mean, I would have thought a lot of dads will kind of pressure you like, "Come on,
Yeah.
man, pick up the gun. What are you doing?" I didn't realize that. I would have thought you were right out of the gate gung ho.
Yeah, these kids come by at the expo and they're 14 and they pull out their cell phone. Look at this giant elk I killed. And then I went to Africa and then I got an antelope. And I'm like, dude, you're 14 or 15 or 16. They're shooting
Way.
on bows and everything. They're so accelerated anymore. And I'm like, I always tell them, I'm like, dude, I didn't start till I was like 21. I said, you're light years ahead of me. You
Yeah,
know,
that
get all
surprises
like,
me.
you didn't shoot anything until then. I'm like, yep, I just picked up shed antlers.
Sh So before you were doing before Sheds, you were doing or not before Sheds, but before Hushin, you were doing another company, right? You started into that?
Yeah, there was another company, it's called Times Up, and that started with 5 owners. And, I just became really active on their website. It was a chat forum. And one of their partners stepped away. If I remember correctly, he got married and moved back east. And that's when they invited me into the company Times Up. So we ran that for a while. I think that was a partnership that was maybe 4 years or so. And we were doing DVDs, apparel, and whatnot. And it was actually my current partner now, Casey, who came to me at the Times Up booth at the hunting expo and asked, like, I love your guys' content. I think you should start putting it up on YouTube. And he's like, I make a living on YouTube. And a light bulb went off in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you make a living off of YouTube? And he's like, yeah. And you guys have the best content. You got good personalities. I think you guys should start putting it on YouTube. So I took that to my partners. And I didn't really get the support of anybody at the time. So for a full calendar year, I really started to view and analyze YouTube channels and videos in a whole different like a way. Like most people were just watching and consuming, and I'm like analyzing how are they monetizing? Are they asking for a sale at the end? Are they telling you to go to a website? Are they promoting a discount code? So I started to just figure out what's going on, and I would really purposely watch content that I had no interest in, like I do in fitness. So I'd watch fitness people, prank channels, family vlogging. Like I'd even follow some girls that do like makeup, and we're making a living doing that. So I was just like, okay, what are they all doing across the board that actually is the same? And the answer was vlogging. They were just kind of that was that intimate, like, hey guys, checking in for the day. Here I am doing whatever I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, they're all vloggers, but they all have a niche interest. So this one is beauty and makeup. This one is fitness. This one is like family and children. And I could see how they started to monetize those through brand deals and partnerships. And then some of them eventually building their own companies up. So for that year, I like consumed that. There wasn't a lot of hunting content back then at all. And we were utilizing YouTube as a teaser. So it's like, here's a highlight video, buy the DVD. So we were using YouTube in a way of marketing, but we weren't putting out full length videos. So a year later, that's when Casey came back to me at the same hunting expo, a full calendar year later. Hey man, you remember me? And I was like, Casey, I want to sit down and I want to learn from you. So Casey made the time to come to my house in Utah. He was living in California at that time, to sit down with me, to build Times Up a business YouTube channel, to connect our bank account and monetize it from the very beginning. And Casey's idea was like, his pitch was like, hey, you guys got to create a schedule. He's like, I don't know, you should put up a video every Tuesday. He's like, heck, why don't you call it Times Up Tuesday?
Mm.
So that's where Times Up Tuesday started. And I put up a video every single Tuesday on the Times Up channel, and it just started gaining traction. Like some of those first videos that I think are still on their channel are just like me and Tad or me and some of the guys going on a backcountry shed hunt. And it was more of a vloggy, personal, intimate type of video versus like rock and roll music,
Yeah, whole
pit
production.
bulls, and people loved it. And we did that until our partnership fell apart. And that's when I partnered with Casey and our partner Bmack. There's 3 owners in Hush. And that's where we came together back in like 2015. And then we just were committed to digital content. Casey at the time was still doing his family vlogging channel full time. And he said, Eric, when you're coming into a partnership, Casey had this entity already and he's inviting me to be a part of it. He's inviting me to be an equity holder and an owner. That's always kind of like, I don't want to cross my boundaries. And finally, I'd ask him questions like, hey, can I post this? Hey, can I post that? He's like, Eric, run it like it's your own. And he just gave me that green light, and it was like pedal to the metal, everything from putting up content to designing apparel to fulfilling the website orders. And the three of us have just stayed in this partnership for almost 10 years. I think it's 9 now. And, it's just been like this steady, slow burn. And that's what I tell people in the hunting industry. You'll see in other mainstream medias that someone could truly become famous overnight, whether it's a prank channel or, maybe you build trucks and 4x4s, they can just get into that algorithm and make it.
The hot to a girl, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Like perfect. Like
Just
all of a sudden,
insane.
yeah, just totally like
Crazy.
now you can monetize it. Now you can have merch. Now you can get brand deals. Now you're on famous people's Instagram and collaborating just like that. The hunting industry is a slow burn. So if anybody's coming into this space, at least doing it on a content side, like they better be ready for just years and years of dedication before they might ever, monetize it in any way.
Yeah, and that's what Ryan says, with M42, he's like, it's just slow and steady wins the race,
Yep.
and the thing that helps people don't realize, I've started, half a dozen businesses now, and it helps a ton when it's a passion, I'm sure you feel that too, where it's like, I'm going to Africa next week with Ryan. There's 21 of us going for 2 weeks, and I'm like, it's my job now, and it's pretty easy to go do that,
Yep.
so yeah, so walk me through, have you ever had another job? Have you ever, I mean, because what I want this podcast to be, I always try to think about, instead of just people here listening, talk about random stuff, like what can they take from this? What can they get out of this? And I know from talking to most people, they look at your life and they look at my life and they want to live that, but they don't know how to make that leap or that change or that, how did you do that? How did you go from, did you just start, I mean, did you have another job and this was a side gig?
Yeah, like just going back in time, we'll kind of give out a timeline. Like I was always the kid who tried to start a business. So I was hustling candy necklaces, the rope candy necklaces. My mom would buy me a box at Costco. I'd take them to school and sell them. And it was those ones that you would pull back on. And if you bit the candy, it'd slingshot it across the room.
Oh yeah.
I was slinging those. I would raise rabbits and I would sell rabbits on the side of the road. I would grow pumpkins and I would sell pumpkins on the side of the road. I'd grow a garden in my backyard. So I always had that mentality of like, I grew up, if I wanted $10 to go to the baseball card shop, I had to rake the leaves. I had to get under the deck and clean all the nasty stuff under the deck. I had to provide a service. My parents, I'm sure at times they handed me a couple bucks, but like if I wanted some money to go do something, I had to earn it. So I learned real quick, like if I want something, I can go earn it. And I can do that through selling something. I can do that through mowing the neighbor's yard, etc. So getting older, I was in retail sales for many years. I started at the Army Navy store that my great aunt owns here in Utah. So it's an Army Navy surplus. So BDUs, camping equipment, Army stuff. It even had an archery shop, and that kind of plays a big part into me starting to bow hunt. But I went from there to Sportsman's Warehouse. I was in the shoe department, shoes and waders. I did that for quite a while. I did Discover Card is pretty popular for the high school kids around here in the Valley to go work at like a credit card company. You're on the phones. I did balance transfers. So I would call our card holders, hey, do you got a Visa with a high percentage rate? Hey, let's move it over here. So I did that. I did retention at Discover Card and collections as well. So I'd move from category to category. Did another sales job at a company called Occurrence. We took inbound calls for, if you've ever heard the radio station, hi, I'm John Commuta. If you would like to pay your house off in 5 to 7 years, please call now for your free CD, How to Get Out of Debt and Transform Debt into Wealth. They call and they got me.
Oh, wow.
So between another key factor to all this is between those two jobs at a very young age, I learned about credit cards. I learned about the debt and the suffering that people go through when they have it. And I learned about building credit and how interest worked. A lot of my life, like I have taken experiences through my life, whether it was family, relationships, or work. I learned what not to do. No one, like, I didn't really get like taught what to do. I took it as like what not to do. So staying out of debt was very important to me at a very young age and building a credit score. And that also, that just, that set the foundation for Eric to go hunting more, Eric to go camera and film more. As I wasn't bound by these debts and owing the banks for a fancy truck and a fancy side by side and all these things. So from there, I've done landscaping. I started a landscaping business. It was called Like New Lawn Care. And I came up with that name because I'm like, when you go to like a brand new developed neighborhood, it's like new, right? The trees are perfect. The grass is perfect. So my pitch was like new lawn care, make it look like it's new.
Yeah.
I did that for a couple summers. And, one year I took a tax return from like a normal W-2 job. I maybe got $3,000 back in a tax return. And so my attitude was go buy a lawnmower, a blower, an edger, a weed eater, and an aerator and a trailer. So that's what I did with money. So I always had that entrepreneur mindset of like, I want to build my schedule. I want to earn as much as I'm willing to put in the effort, not just what someone says my time is worth and punching in and punching out. But again, this is like going on over years. So it's like I would have a job just long enough to get to hunting season. I would mow lawns and do aerating all summer and spring just so I can go hunting. So there was never like this hard line where it's like, Eric is now living the dream. It was literally like suffering and living on the most minimal amount of money. And people could see it in my content. Like even when Hush was going, I had the 99 Chevy, the 95 Honda 4Trax.
Borrowed a three-wheeler.
Yeah.
Was borrowed, wasn't it?
I still have the three-wheeler. That's mine. I got
Oh,
that.
was it? Oh,
Yep.
maybe Ben borrowed it. I remember seeing that's when I knew that I liked you. And I told you that when you showed me a picture of you or a video of you picking up sheds on like Boulder Mountain or something. I can't remember what it was. And you had I says, is that a three-wheeler in the back of the truck? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, bro, we're good, man. We're good.
Yeah, right. Guys our age, like that's our thing, right? The three-wheeler, the Honda 110. I had that on my firebull hunt the year I harvested the firebull, which became the mark of Hush. But yeah, it was relatable stuff. But going back to where it started, it was just, dude, all kinds of jobs, businesses and ideas. I did a tank top business. It was called Tank Toppers. Me and my friends would go to like fun events and like hustle tank tops. Like, so I've always had that idea of, entrepreneurship and still have that desire to continue to learn more. And that's what I enjoyed so much about talking with you because, you're so far ahead on entrepreneurship and going through acquisitions, building a company from zero to an exit strategy. Like I'm still learning all of this stuff and I'm like super excited for the future, but I have just gone by minimalistic, debt free. And dude, I can just live a happy life with like the littlest amount. And then, once Hush started picking up, that's where it became like Hush was the first like true success where I'd say like I earned a healthy income.
Yeah, and that's what I don't think people realize. They see the results. I mean, like you said, the early followers, they may get it, but like me, I popped in. I didn't know you. I didn't know about you anything 2 years ago, and we meet in Hawaii. I met you face to face before I even followed you on Instagram. And it's easy for me to jump on there and be like, man, this guy's got it made. He probably lucked out, comes from money, all the things that people want to take away from us because they're not in our positions. And so they think we must have got lucky. And it's like, no, you come look at my resume, man. It's been a nightmare. And that's what I want people to understand that are out there scared to start a business or scared to do this or do that. It is scary. It is hard. That's why not everybody does it and most don't succeed. But I think, just hearing you, because I didn't know any of this about you, as far we haven't had these deep conversations. And I can tell, I think what a lot of people do is they start a business, they fail and they quit and they go back to the 9 to 5. And it's like, that's never, I've failed several times, many times, but
Mhm.
you pick out a couple things, you learn a few things, and then you go to the next job and the next job. And, I have people that I had a guy the other day say, I want to start this company and I'm going to quit my job and go do this. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe do it on the side, do it at night, do it weekends, like don't let go of that branch till you have a good grip on the next one, and so I even respect you more now, man. I already did, but I love I am so passionate about entrepreneurs. I
Mhm.
love we're just different. We're different people. I love like even what you're saying, man. I've started 12. I put 12 companies, but I've probably started 30, but some of the ones are like you're saying, like selling. I sold water snakes. So I went out and would catch water snakes in Cedar City, Utah, and go door to door at like 7 years old, 8 years old, and knock on a door and be like, "Hey, would you wanna buy these 2 water snakes?" And most people scream.
Yeah, I'm
By
sure.
the time I got done, I'd done a whole lap, came back to the house, went to my parents. I'm like, "I didn't sell one of my 3 water snakes," and I look in the jar and they're dead. I didn't have air holes, so
Yeah.
I cooked them on my walk.
Oh, wow.
And I'm 8 years old crying and, it's like that set me up for the next thing, and the next thing, and I don't know. That's why I was wondering with you, like, what made us do that? Because was your dad an entrepreneur? Was your mom an entrepreneur? Like, why are we
No,
this way?
dude, I don't know. I think that it's like we're visionaries, right? We can like vision something and then we can like pull back that onion and see the steps needed to get there. One thing that I remember, I was dating a girl and she worked at a chiropractic office and the doctor there had his hands in a lot of businesses. So he was an entrepreneur himself. And I remember that she had shared that she had shared all my ideas with him, like through conversation. And he goes, if that's how he thinks, stick with him because one of them's going to take off.
I love that.
So somebody like yeah, like you said, there's some of us who are just like, all right, nothing's going to stop us. Even when one, it could be considered a failure because maybe we didn't make a ton of money. We will take the knowledge learned from that one and we'll plant the seed in the next one. And eventually one of them or two or three, like is going to just take off. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Like entrepreneurship is something special in some of us. We just think different. We want different and we look at things different. Like if I can see someone be successful on YouTube, I go, well, if they can do it, so can I. Versus how
Absolutely.
you said earlier, he must have daddy's money. He must be trust fund baby. He got lucky. Those people, they don't know it, but they are already counting themselves out because of their mindset. They have a limited belief that, because I'm not doing it, he must have had some other benefit or some other thing that I just don't have. Therefore, I can't do it. And he got lucky. People need to shift their mindset to like, all right, if they can do it, why can't I?
Hey guys, I wanted to just step away from the episode here real quick and update you on a few things we have going on here at M42 Adventures. So as you know, we have the Africa experience. It is sold out. We sold 21 of 24 spots. So not a complete sellout, but a great start for our first ever experience out of the country. I leave for that in 10 days with my wife and 3 kids, so I cannot wait. I'm a headliner for one of the weeks there. Ryan Mickler will be going the week before me as the headliner for that week. So we are very excited about that. If you want to go to Africa, we are going to be announcing 2025 dates here in the next couple weeks, something like that. So stay tuned, watch our website, watch our social media, sign up for our newsletter if you want to jump in on that. I assume it's going to be life-changing, and we're very excited. We're taking a videographer with us, and we're going to have some good footage from that. I just got back from Alaska. I'm wearing my hat here. If you're watching me on YouTube, got my Alaska edition hat. Absolute wonderful time. 8 people up there, had a great time, and we'll be announcing that as well, probably in 6 weeks or something like that for our Alaska experience. Also, a community. We're building a community right now. It's going to be called Genesis, and it's going to be launching here in the next 4 to 6 weeks, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of resources in there, a lot of things to level up in life in multiple facets, and I cannot wait for that. So stay tuned for that. And that is what I had. So next year we're going to be having we're going to be starting with 4 new experiences: Hawaii, Africa, Costa Rica, and the New Harmony retreat. So that's what we're going to be launching first. So stay tuned, and we'd love for you to come out to any of these experiences and meet us, spend time with us, and level up in all things outdoors. Can't wait for it. So thank you for listening. Appreciate your time. Please like, follow, share on all platforms, and let's get back to this episode. Thanks.
And like, if they can do it, that's proof that it's possible. And I can just, learn from them. Maybe I'll start to analyze them like I was analyzing all those other YouTubers. Someone should come to my platform, and there has been. I've made friends with a lot of them that go, you paved the way, Hush paved the way for guys like us. And now we're following in your footsteps, and you've already shown us how to do it. And we're just watching and copying,
I love that.
So,
yeah, and I think our culture now, and it's getting worse, and my kids even the same. It's getting worse every generation. We want it easy. We want it now. Like you said, we want the big truck, the big house, and you can't afford it. So how do you do it? You go in debt. And it is so cliche and so it just drives me crazy. And I'm sure it does you as well, being in the finance world and coming from credit cards and stuff. It's like, I went to a barbecue last night, and not that these people are that way, but we went to a 24th of July barbecue, and they have this massive house, and again, this person is not that way, so I'm not judging that person, but I have a lot of people have these huge houses, and they're like, dude, you traveled the world, you went to these countries, and I want that life. And I'm like, well, you chose the boat and the side by side and the house. That's what you chose. I don't have that. I'm not straddled with that debt, and they can't understand that. Like you said, there's a beauty to living simply and being able to, go, I know you were just in Alaska, doing that shed hunting thing. You were just in Hawaii. People see that, and it's like, you're budgeting in a way to be able to, and obviously it's your job and whatever, but you're budgeting your life to be able to, you're putting your priorities into experiences. And I love nice trucks. I love big houses. I do. I fight that, but I think, well, if I go buy $100,000 truck, that's 8 months of long-term travel with my family. I'd rather have the trip, not the truck.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for people to see people like you that they admire and respect that aren't caught up in all that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, when I've dabbled in the idea of finance, like on my Instagram page, it gets a lot of traction, and people are like, dude, I want to hear more about what you think, how you did yours, or whatever. There's definitely a lot of people, starting to change their habits to we don't want to be, set back by our debts, and people are really starting to get aggressive on their debts. Ben has a really cool story.
Good. I'll ask him.
How him and his wife teamed up to just pedal to the metal to pay off their debts. But yeah, one line that I remember when I sold this system, and the gentleman's name was John Commuta, and the whole program software was basically pay off your small debts first and take those monthly payments, roll them into the truck, roll them into the house, etc. But there was a phrase that he'd say through the program, and it said, like, when you have debt to the banks, finance institutes, you have already promised tomorrow's income away today.
Yeah, I like that.
And when I talk to people, I'm like, dude, let that sink in. You have promised tomorrow's income away today. The money you haven't even earned yet, you have made a promise to those institutes that you're going to pay that minimum payment or pay that interest. And yeah, there's just financial, just even being debt free. I was debt free and still had not a lot of money, and that felt so good. I didn't care.
You're ahead of 90% of the population at that point.
So that was a big piece for me personally, to take these risks and do it for so long. I'm telling you, I'm 41 now. I didn't make what I would consider an honest wage until maybe 33, 34. I'm talking bare minimum, Rick. 18 grand was my salary at Times Up.
Right.
there was some money and
Yeah.
bonuses to be made, it might have made it to 20 at some point. And I'm talking like I was a grown man. And trust me, that came with a lot of like, dude, fear. I would sit there and go, am I going to be like serving, punk high school kids at Denny's at 1 a.m. because I don't make any money? So yeah, I don't want people to think like I just saw the future and everything was butterflies and rainbows. Like through the process, I'm like, dude, I don't make any money. I don't make like I can't provide for a family. People my age were getting houses, building families, and I'm over here like, yeah, I can't, I can't afford that. You know what I mean? So, and I knew it. Say maybe that happened, that probably would have forced me into the 9 to 5 and into the career path, doing whatever else. Right. So, for me, it was the sacrifice of getting the house, building the family, the sacrifice of having all the fancy things, the big truck. I sacrificed all that for so long to get where I'm at now. But if you saw the projection scale, it's just like, here's Eric, like getting by in life. And dude, when Hush and, through the help of BMac and Casey, those two are, brothers to me with their help, Eric's life accelerated very quickly.
And I think that I know those because you know me, my story. I lost everything in the recession.
Mhm.
It was annihilating for for my financial life. But now, how much more special is it? I think
Yeah.
that's I'm grateful for mine. I'm sure you look back and it sucked and you wish it would have happened sooner. That's obvious. But at the same time, I've seen your new truck. That you hop in and I guarantee every once in a while you hop in that thing and think, man, this is cool. I seen your garage, your man cave, which is amazing. These things have to be more special. And
Mhm.
that's what I tell people. I think it's honestly good that you're fit, right? You go to the gym, obviously you can tell. If you just got it from popping a pill, yeah, it'd be nice. But, you know, I see a person like you and I know that you didn't get it from popping a pill or a shortcut. It's from, you know, being dedicated every day to a gym workout and your you know, food intake. And I look at you and I'm like, dude, I already respect him. You don't even have to open your mouth. And you walk up and I'm like, that dude's, already impressive, and so I think that when you start getting those things and then they're not facades, if you have a huge truck payment and a huge house payment and you're straddled with debt and you're trading today's money for, tomorrow's money for today, we people think that we respect them. I actually have I got to be careful here, but I have I'll say friends. We'll say friends so I don't get in trouble. But they come to town every 6 months with a new truck, and we know that they're broke. We
Mhm.
know they are. The whole family whoops, I just blew it. Whoops. But
Edit.
we know that they're broke, but they come and everybody instead of talking behind their back saying, "Wow, what a cool truck," which is what they think we're saying, "Man, that's not smart.
Yeah.
We wish he drove an older truck, didn't have to work as much, and spent more time with us."
Mhm.
And they'd have no idea that that's what we're saying behind their back. Nobody is saying, "Cool truck." We
Yeah.
know the truck is fake, and I don't understand why people don't get that. If somebody that doesn't know you is saying, "Cool truck," then they don't count. If somebody at the stoplight's like, "Hey, cool truck," and you take that as, a reflection of you, that doesn't count because they don't know you. But if your dad says, "Hey, Eric, that's a shitty you're stupid for buying that fancy truck," you should listen to that guy because he cares about you and he's judging the whole package. And so I just respect the fact that, you know, I was actually riding over here with Ricky I met with Ryan Mickler this morning, right? And
Mm.
we were driving over from his house and I says, "Hey, I'm, going to be interviewing Eric." And I says, "I really want to emphasize on not that you're an entrepreneur, because I already respect that. Already you're like in my circle, but that you're doing something that you love, and I know wasn't easy. I know it wasn't easy. It is, I says to Ricky, if I call up a buddy and I'm like, "Hey man, what have you been up to?" And he's like, "I started a landscaping business." That's cool. I respect that because he's doing his own thing. He's trying to build his own dream. But to start a hunting and fishing brand, that is like you said, you were a pioneer. And now all these people want to be you and live your life. And I love that a lot of people also don't realize that most people ahead of you are like, here's how I did it. Come on, join. The pizza isn't 8 slices and 18 inches big. We can grow this thing forever,
Yep.
And so I love that you're on this podcast. I love that you're, leading people and inspiring people. And it's just a very cool story, man. I hope you wake up every day proud of yourself, and I just want you to know you're inspiring. You inspire me. You say I'm ahead of you. I don't see that, because I may be ahead of you in this or that, but you're ahead of me in that or this.
Yeah.
And so that's what's cool about, I tell everybody when I go on these hunts and these experiences and events and all these things, the most value I get out of them isn't killing the deer or, picking up the shed or whatever. I haven't done that yet. But it's meeting guys like you, and networking and being around people that are just good people. It's so what's needed in this world.
Hmm. Yeah. And
A
to
little bit
be
of praise.
honest, like our Hawaii trip and what you're doing with M42, like you could almost look like the Hawaii trip was probably pretty close to like what the M42 experience would be, right? A group of men coming together. I'm sure some of your other adventures I see are family oriented, but this one
Yeah.
was, so
Yeah.
it's a man trip, right?
Yep.
We got a group of us together, many of us that didn't know each other, at all.
Yeah.
And dude, we had a common interest, which was hunting. And I remember we're all sitting there like literally hunting in the morning, going to eat poke bowls down in down in town, um, for lunch and stuff. And I think when we sat there and we were all like, dude, we're hunting on a Tuesday. Like we already won. Like that's what you
Absolutely.
said. We're like, guys,
Yeah.
everyone's here hunting axis deer, eating poke bowls on a Tuesday. Like we have won. Like this is the real W is your time. And I think everybody right there, we looked at everybody who was there and they were all self-employed. They just all happened to be entrepreneurs,
Yep.
which allowed us to go do stuff like that. But that's what I love about the M42. And I want to learn more about it is I want to, I want to get more involved somehow. I don't know how. We'll have to talk about that, but
I tried to get you involved in the beginning. You remember you were one of my first
yeah,
calls.
I remember those where I'm just like,
Yeah.
dude, I've got more on my plate than I can handle, but
Yeah.
maybe it's in any type of operations, but like
Yeah.
I would love to like do a trip or maybe plan a trip surrounded by, me or Ben or both or our group
Yeah.
and then invite people to it. That would be cool. But what I
Yeah.
love about it is you're getting people together to build memories. I'm just kind of talk on the men's side.
Yeah.
Men need community. They need
They
good
do.
friends. And I am so blessed with good friends, like guys like Ben, Jordan, Casey, Brian. Like, dude, I've got a list of really, really good friends. And I'm learning through some of my content because I read the comments that not everybody has that support group. And dude, and men cannot ride this life alone. And so trips and adventures like you're doing are going to impact so many people positively for so long. And it's that butterfly effect where they can go get a taste of that family and that friendship and that adventure and those memories. And they can start planting those seeds into their groups, into their friends and into their families. So yeah, I want to learn more about what you're doing and I want to know how I can, maybe host a trip or somehow be a part of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I agree. I've always had quite a few friends and things like that. It's always come pretty natural. I put myself out there and pretty social, but over the last few years, and it started a couple years before, but it was with that Hawaii hunt with Ryan Mickler. He called me last minute, says, come out. And what's helped me is not even, we can all find relationships and those acquaintances, but like you're saying, that brotherhood, guys that, you feel like would get your back or you can be open and honest with, talk about finances. I have a lot of buddies who, you know, have started opening up to me since I've started doing this podcast saying, "Hey man, you're acting like you're starting to kind of maybe be a coach or something. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I'd like to, you know, travel more." I had a guy grab me at the gym Monday and he's like, "Bro, I saw you coming up the stairs." Went to high school with him, haven't seen him forever. And he's like, "Dude, I saw you come up the stairs. and I want to take my wife on a honeymoon and I don't even know how to plan it. Would you help me out? And I'm like, for sure, 100%. And I think that's when you can find the people who are in your, they're in your, they have like-minded interests, right? And all those types of things. I'm sure, like I just saw, you were just at TAC, right? Just
Yeah.
recently? Was that recent?
Yeah.
Do you go up there and you're with guys that love archery and they love hunting and it's like you can talk forever with these people, and it doesn't have again, it doesn't have to be hunting. With M42, we're going to do golf experiences, surfing experiences. We got mountain bike experience we're working on, so but it's trying to get these people. It gets harder, I think, as you get older. There's always that cliche, or not even cliche, but probably just a real statistic where when you're in high school, you have 50 friends.
Mm.
At 20, you have 40 friends. At 30, and they fall off. We
Yeah.
get kids, we get all these things, but if we can bring them back together and do fun adventures and then really get into that's where I'm excited. Like with Africa, we've got 21 people going,
That's
and we're
cool.
gonna dive into, you know, anything they want. It's all access. If they want to talk about finances, I don't judge anybody. It's like I've been broke. I've been beyond broke. I've been negative 600,000 in debt. I had credit cards. I had the big fancy truck. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to say I touched the stove and it's hot as hell. So don't touch it. Let's try to
Yeah.
avoid that. Or if you've touched it, let's work out the burn and how you get through it.
Mhm.
And I love that, passive income, like you said. Gratefully, I don't need to work. I don't have to have a job. And if I could help anybody get passive income to go do more in life, that's now my focus,
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I love everything you've been doing. I wanted to go over one more thing. We got a few more minutes. Let's see. I got something in here that I wanted. Let me go through here. Your conservation. That's another thing that I love. I wanted to bring that up because we're going to Africa. We've raised thousands of dollars. We're going to an orphanage there. We're taking a couple dozen soccer balls, M42 soccer balls, to 15 different orphanages. And anyway, I that's M42 for me is about helping people find people better lives, get off the phone, get outside, get some life skills, and also give back. And so I love how Hushin, hush, right? Hush.
Yep.
I love
Either or.
how yeah, okay. I love how you guys do conservation. You guys are doing giveaways. You guys like I love that you're a brand that is giving back. Tell me more about
Mhm.
that. Like so you just did the trees, right? You donated thousands
Yep.
of trees? I mean, what?
Yep. So, that's called the Brush for Bucks initiative. Um, I think it started with the guys up at First Light. They called it like Brush for Bucks, and everybody in the office would go out and plant seedlings. Casey and Bmack, my partners, got heavily involved in that, and we've been basically able to host the one thing that we always knew we had, right? I think a lot of people relate to this. These older organizations, Mule Deer Foundation, Bugle Magazine, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, all these things is like our age, we were kids that we thought was the coolest thing. I think their demographics are just getting older. It's easy to see. You go to their banquets and it's just an older demographic. Like they're not capturing the eyeballs of the young folks. I'm somewhere right in the middle, right? And we've always known that we have access to the young folks. We have the eyeballs of the young people, and we can be the middleman to the message, right? So
Mm,
if it's like a project or an idea, there's the people, and then we can be the voice.
I love that.
So we always knew that we had such a loyal following and fan base. We knew if we ever hosted an event where people want to help, they just don't know how.
Absolutely.
That's me included. That's me growing up as a kid. Like, oh, I want to go build water tanks in the desert, but like, who do I talk to? You know what I mean? So we wanted to become that middleman. And so the Brush for Bucks is going out and planting bitterbrush and sagebrush seedlings to rejuvenate and replenish, burn areas, pretty much is what we've done. And we've done that with the help of Mule Deer Foundation, the help of First Light, and the help of even the Idaho Fish and Game and the DNR up there. So we take any money raised. So we're actually selling tickets to come to the event.
Oh,
So the
cool.
consumer purchases $100 ticket. They get a goodie bag, a swag bag, and raffle tickets to win like tens of thousands of dollars worth of cool
That's
prizes.
smart. That's so smart.
But what we need is boots on the ground, right? So we're able to showcase, hey, we need help. We need over 100 people to come out and literally do hard labor in cold conditions and plant sagebrush seedlings. So we've done it for a couple years, and we just take the proceeds that are captured through raffle tickets and ticket sales and everything that we capture. That money is held, and it pays for the plants for the next year. So that's just one. That's probably the biggest conservation initiative that we've done, and Brian and Casey really take the lead on that because it's right in spring, and I'm out getting sheds. So huge, shout out to those guys for basically putting that whole project together. But along the way, we've done our movie night is very successful. This is another fun thing of like if they can do it, I can do it. So even in the Times Up days, I was a snowboarder back then, and these local snowboard kids would have a movie premiere at the universities and rent out their little, theater. And all the kids like me would be like, oh, we want to go watch those guys snowboard. So we'd watch their film, their DVD film on a big screen. Well, I took that idea back in the Times Up days, and just right down the road from my house where I'm living, there was a dollar store or a dollar movie, they called it. Remember the
Mhm.
dollar movies?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Rented a theater to premiere our DVDs. I did that for 3 years with Times Up, and then I took, migrated it over to Hush, and that's where I shared the Fireball video for the first time. But the Hush movie night, you know, up until like COVID kind of scrambled that for a few years, we would host a movie night to present, an awesome film that we've never shared before. We would sell tickets on the website to get in, and then we would sell raffle tickets to win prizes from all our amazing partners. And, at times raising 10 to 20,000 and then taking that and giving it to some good cause in the local community. So we've donated to Primary Children's. We've donated to like a recovery boys home for young men who have their parents aren't around. They're in the custody of the state. We went and had an archery event with them, donated some money so they can build up a woodworking shop. Yeah, we've just given back in so many different ways. It's just one of the pillars of Hush is to give back to the local community. And I learned years ago from a wealthy person that they always told me, when you make money, Eric, save some, spend some, and give some. And so I've just captured that. That was one of those nuggets in life that I just said, yes, this is the way. Like we're going to give back. So, we want to continue to grow the Brush for Bucks. We want it to where people can host maybe their own in their state or their local area. But yeah, we've done projects like chainings. We've donated to projects to chain, cedar trees and stuff to get more brush and feed for wild game. So we just want to continue that, man. It's one of the whys behind the company is to give back.
Absolutely. And I love that. Like I said, that's a big thing for me. When I first started my wood mill here in Utah, I started in 2006, and obviously it started as supplying stair parts. Um,
Mhm.
was 90% of it, and still probably about 70% of the business is supplying stair parts. And we donate. So my idea is we plant a tree for every order. So every order somebody places on woodstairs.com, we plant a tree in their name. And we've been doing that for 18 years.
Cool.
Thousands and thousands of trees, and I can tell people like, hey, you took wood and you put it into your home, but I want you to know that a tree replaced that. So you're not taking, we're washing that.
Yeah.
And so I've always been passionate about that stuff. So maybe that's something we could do down the road, have an M42 Hush collab. I would love to
Mhm.
support what you guys are doing and, be a part of that as well. So let's talk more about that off camera.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, Um, so yeah, man, think we touched on everything. I was going to ask, how do you balance your work personal life? I think that's one that, I see you traveling a lot. I know you have a serious girlfriend, right?
Yep.
Dogs,
Yeah.
I think I get that a lot where people are like, how do you stay fit? How do you
Mhm.
keep your relationships intact? Do you want to touch base on that real quick and just kind of let me know let people know how you balance that out? Do you take your girl with you? Do you just kind of How do you do
Yeah.
it?
So, I mean, it's a lot and it's like forever changing and adapting. I do travel a lot. So, my value to the company is to capture content and share content, which, like you said before, it's so cool because that's what I'm passionate about. That's also what brings value to the company. So that requires me to travel. So I'm on the road a lot. I'm living in the tent or the dirt or what, like I'm out in the woods a lot, dude. I sleep on the mountain a lot. And the girlfriend holds it down. Her passion is dog and dog rescue, and
Oh,
that's
awesome.
totally new to me. Like I always loved dogs. I always had pets growing up. But when she met me, she's like, "You're not a dog person." I'm like, I just don't have a dog because like I leave. Like it wouldn't
Yeah.
make sense
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then I'd have to drop it off at, pawn it off to family and friends. And I don't want to do that either. And
Yeah.
I don't want to like give the dog a great life. And sure, I could take it sometimes, but it doesn't work like that. I fly a lot.
Yep.
So she got us a dog. She didn't tell me about it. I was in Alaska on a Garmin inReach, get a text, "Hey, I rescued a dog from the local shelter." And I'm just like,
Oh, no.
what even is my life? Like, oh my
Yeah.
God. So
Yeah.
I come home to our dog, Jade,
Mhm.
and now we have a second one. So she fostered 4 puppies to begin with. And dude, I just love them. I mean, how you cannot help but like, dude, I went from get these things out of my house to like, I'm bawling because I'm giving the last one away. And
That's awesome.
I remember telling Kate, like, she's like, "Why are you so sad?" She was sad too, but she's like, What do you feel?" And I'm like, I don't get to protect them anymore. I remember that came out of my mouth. I said, it's just like, we don't get to protect them to make sure that they are okay. We have to put the trust in these people. One of them has ended up back with us because it actually ended up with a broken hip. So
Mm.
there was a little bit of
Oh, I
neglect.
saw that video where he was in your is it a pit bull?
Yeah, they're both our dogs are pit bull mixes, like
Like a
stat
mix, yeah.
pity mixes.
Yeah.
So he ended up with a broken hip. So Kate
Mm.
got back, and long story short, he's now our dog. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
but that was proof of like, I don't get to protect them anymore. And unfortunately, he was in a bad situation, and we don't know the full story of how it happened. We don't
Yeah.
care. We just want
Yeah.
to focus on his recovery. But the balance is, I guess, like I can pretty much predict my annual calendar. So it's like starting from January, pretty slow. February's expo, I'm pretty much home. March, April, May, June, like, see you later. I'm going shed hunting, like traveling all over. July is like, seriously, the end of June and July is kind of the only like really slow time now. And that's just filled with like archery events. But yeah, I mean, balancing them all, man. The number one thing that helped me balance them all was a to-do list, daily to-do list that I would
Mm.
write in bed the
Ricky,
night. I would write it in
to-do
night.
list. I live by that, man. I live by for 20 years, I've lived by a to-do list.
Yeah, and I need to do better recently, but for a while there, the to-do list was like the bomb. I mean, it
Yeah.
just
It's your
I lay in
Bible.
bed and go, all right. And I write down when I was really doing good, I had a daily journal, and my week would be planned out and my days would be planned out. And that's really easy while I'm home. It's just that I'm not home often, so I lose those habits because I just end up being mountain man and highway guy. So it's a lot to balance. Yeah, you're just trying to, whatever it is that you're doing, for me, put the focus into that. So if it's like, okay, the to-do list is like, just get the yard mode. It's literally phone down, mow the lawn, start to finish. That task is over. Once you start blending everything, if I'm at the gym doing emails and texts, then my workout sucks and it drags out way longer than it needs to be. And if I'm at home in the evening, trying to get work done, and the girlfriend wants to sit down and eat dinner, then our time together isn't quality. So it's really just committing to the task and keeping it like one at a time the best you can. So my day is basically like, when I am home, is wake up. I'm an AM guy at the gym now. I never was like that when I was young.
Yeah,
I
I'm
always
not. I'm still not.
2 or 3 meals in me so I can get the pump better, but now I'm a wake up, straight to the gym, protein shake after, there's a little bit of time I like to spend with the dogs, like wind down from that. And then I do my girlfriend, fiance, actually, I haven't really
Oh,
accepted,
nice.
but my
Awesome, man.
fiance, she
Congrats.
works 10 to 3. So I really like to cram work in 10 to 3 as much as possible. Um, so yeah, Zoom calls, podcasts, like there's a lot of moving parts. And again, I'm not as engaged in the back end of the business like Brian is. But when I am home, I like to like go to the warehouse to check on merchandise samples and hat samples and be involved in the conversations as much as possible. So I kind of keep that 10 to 3 to 4, 5 after, try to spend time, quality time with the dogs and the girlfriend. And then while I'm traveling, she just holds it down here and, we text and communicate as much as possible. And FaceTime really helps with that.
I think a big key, also is finding the right woman, finding the right girl that understands this is my life, this is how
Yeah.
it goes, and these are the pros and cons with it.
Hmm.
And letting them understand, I have a lot of people that are like, man, how do you get to travel so much? Or how do you get to, and I'm like, one, my wife kind of knew what I was, before she decided to marry me, but also communication and saying, hey, this is what pays the bills. And I'm going to go for, like you said, if I think more people need to do what you're saying, where I do that, where I plan out my whole year, 90% of my whole year, I plan out. I'm like, okay, 2025, this is give me my plans. And then I go to my wife and I'm like, April, I'm going to be doing this event in Costa Rica for 2 weeks. And so I'm going to be gone, but I want you to know that the end of April, I'm going to come home and me and you are going to go to Vancouver for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, okay, as long as I know that, you're gone there, but then I get you later. I
Hmm.
think what happens is they just are up in the dark on it. And it's like, when am I going to see you? I'm not sure. I'll let you know. And they don't feel like a priority. Then that's when it starts suffering.
For sure. And the women, they always love something to look forward to. So if you can even
Absolutely.
say, hey, we're going to take a vacation right here. We're going to go camping right here. It's like, they're like, cool. Like until then,
Yeah.
like go do your thing, go, guy time, hunting time, work time. But that, I would say that has kind of been an issue, through my life, like in relationships, is because what I do is actually fun,
Yeah.
because what I do
Yeah.
is actually what I love.
Yeah.
It can be perceived as like, you're just out there having
They're
fun.
jealous. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
jealous. They think,
It
yeah,
is a
it is.
jealous. You're like, yes,
I'm
but
getting a
what?
little bit of that because I'm doing more trips without her, and she's
Uh-huh.
like, "I understand it's your job, but we might need to tweak this a little," and that's why she's coming to Africa. She's like, You're not
Cool.
going to Africa without me," and I'm like, "Fine, let's make that happen." So, yeah, I've been there, and so, yeah. Have you ever been married before? Is this your
No,
first? That's awesome, man. That's cool.
thank you.
I love it. I talked to a buddy the other day, and he's been single for 44 years. And he's like, dude, I'm never getting married. I'm so glad I'm single. I see all these guys going through divorce. And I'm like, yeah, that's scary. That would be a nightmare and scary. But you just got to make sure that who you're marrying is, you guys have an understanding of what, that you're compatible.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, especially in Utah, I'm surprised you missed that, didn't drink the Kool-Aid on that one, right?
Oh
Because,
yeah. I mean,
man, I
it's
remember my whole life from 18 to 26. My parents were like, "Marry her. She's nice." And I'm like, "Next." And then they're like, "Marry her. She's swell." And I'm like, "You just want me to be married. You think that marriage is the answer." But they don't
yeah,
understand that marrying the wrong person can be hell.
for
So
sure.
they shouldn't be coaxing you into marriage. They should be coaching you into marriage for the right with the right person at the right time.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
wild you waited this long.
I know my younger self wasn't ready. I mean, to be honest, like I'm sure the girls that I dated could see that my priority was to travel, hunt, and build a company. And maybe they had, family plans and kids in their near future. And they probably just could see that like I wasn't there. And
You gonna
I,
have kids, you think, or no?
yeah, that's a plan. It's something I always thought just would happen. Like,
Yeah.
and I didn't
Yeah.
really think like, oh yeah. But the more I look into life, it's like, sure, it can happen, right? Like we could get pregnant, but it's like, what's your vision? What do you want? And when I built like the first vision board ever, like it didn't have children, step one was like my vision board had, people walking down the beach holding hands, a guy and a girl working out together. That represented like, I want a healthy relationship, that could lead to a marriage. And then, she's talking children and I'm like, yeah, we probably need some mini Erics running around. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to like try to stop it.
Yeah, dude, I mean, I know you, just in the brief time we've known each other, and you will be a phenomenal dad. I'm sure everybody's told you that. And, you think that my wife's actually pregnant. So she's 42. She just turned 42 and she's 4 months pregnant with our fourth.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's brand new. She's like
Amazing.
3 or 4 months along, but it's my purpose, man. You think about those puppies and how hard it is to let them go.
Mhm.
You have a child that looks like you and little girl, little boy that has your
Yeah.
eyes and your smile, and it's like you'll feel a depth of love that you didn't know exist. And I'm excited for you to feel that because, a lot of people shouldn't have kids, you know? And so you're one of the ones that should, man. You'll raise some beautiful kids. So that's cool, man. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I see like these interviews where people ask, an older person, "Hey, what are some of your regrets or what do you wish?" And the amount of people that said, "I wish I had more kids" or "wish I had kids" is like, okay, they're older and they're in a time of their life where maybe they're feeling a little more lonely. And it's like when you get older, like who is there for you? And it's your
Mhm.
family, it's your children. And so if I could even just see that many people, one, are telling me it's the most amazing love that you'll ever experience. People wish they had more or wish they had some. I'm like, all right, like,
Better try it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
think
won't regret it.
top.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And the other thing too is people don't realize they've been telling me my whole life, because we traveled a lot. So I was with Gina for a few years. 20, I dated her for a year and a half, got married, and then we didn't have our first child till we were married at 26 till I was 31.
Mhm.
So we waited 5 years to go travel, and everybody kept saying, good thing you're traveling now, because when you have kids, you won't. And then I had a child, and then we traveled, and then they're like, wait till you have two, wait till you.
Yeah.
And you've seen, I traveled for 7 years with two kids, 6 year, yeah, 5.5 years with two kids, and then 2 years with three kids. And we have plans that our baby's supposed to be born in January, and in March we're going to leave again for 2 more years.
It's wild.
And it's like, don't tell me you can tell me what you maybe could do, but we're going. And I
Yeah.
don't, and I know I will. There's no, so that's one thing for you to realize is people think there's obviously going to be a change. Like when you got dogs, there's a
Hmm.
change.
Hmm.
It changes things, but the joy that they bring you overrides the change that you don't notice.
Yep.
And that's going to be the difference. So that's cool, man. I'm excited for
Yeah.
you for that.
I admire that about you and your family traveling like that. And I know I think it was through a podcast, you were sharing a story of like couldn't find baby formula. And you're out there and you're just like kind of winging it and you're problem solving. And I just admire people like that because I'm like, the easy thing to do is just to be home and be like, I don't want to put him in the car seat and then carry him on a backpack to go on a hike in the mountains. And I'm like, I literally see these scenarios in real life, a person carrying their baby, whether they're out at the road. I saw someone at the rodeo, the man had like the baby right here. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I want to be that guy. I want to
Yep.
be Rick. I don't want
Yeah.
to be the guy that's like, I'm just too lazy to get the car seat out. You know what I mean? So that's a big reason why I try to stay healthy and fit is I am 41 and kids are coming later for me. And it's like, I still want to be healthy and active and have the energy to give my kids like a great experience. I don't want to be like
Absolutely.
a lazy dad. So
Absolutely.
that's pretty cool that you guys have done that. It's just proof again that you can do it, right?
Yeah, I actually kind of like people to tell me what I can't do, just to prove them wrong at this point, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's when we were talking about having another one, my wife's like, I want one more. And I'm like, financially, we're good, time wise, we can give it the time it needs. And I says, we need to make sure we're in shape and can actually, cause it's going to be, you know, I don't even know. I don't even want to do the math, but like 62, I'll be 62 and he or she graduates high school, and it's like, so yeah, you got to definitely, that's where I know you're going to be a good dad because you're thinking ahead and you're preparing yourself for this life that you're going to be in charge of. and it's gonna be a game changer, man. You're gonna go to a new level in life that is, it's cool, man. So I'm excited for you to do that. Let me know when the wedding is. We'll try to make it up. Is it gonna be in Utah? When is it? You got it planned or just brand new?
We're just running off and we're going to go elope, and it is
Oh, good.
actually this Sunday.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Quick.
That's even better. That's honestly, I hate to say it, but I think that's even better because I have all these people that went like $20,000-$30,000 in debt to get
Yeah.
married.
Yeah, that was
And
never.
I'm like, man, take 10. My buddy who grabbed me at the gym, he's like, we're going to get married. We're trying to decide whether to have a big ceremony or go on a trip. And I'm like, dude, go on a trip. Go on a trip. Go make memories for 10 grand instead of buying this big old ring that is, it's like my wife's ring. She'll hate me saying this, but my wife's ring's like $1,200.
Uh-huh.
It's like I can buy any ring. At the time I couldn't. $1,200 was pretty tough.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't give a shit about that.
Mhm.
My love is not in a ring or,
For sure.
So that's good, man. That's cool. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to add, to this? I mean, how do people find you? Obviously we need, most people know how to
Yes.
find you.
If anybody wants to follow along the adventures, we've got the business page on YouTube. Just search Hushin, Hushin. You will find a library full of hunting content, shed hunting content, archery content, and fishing stuff. The Instagram for Hush is Get Hushin, no spaces or anything. And then my personal platforms are all just under my name. So Eric Chesser on Instagram, there's a little underscore in between. And then YouTube, if you find or search Eric Chesser. Warning, if you search Eric Chesser, you will pull up a country singer. We were actually talking about this last night at a family dinner. Like, there's somebody with my same name. And dude, this guy, like, he owns the .com, Eric Chesser. Like, so he's like gotten some like Eric Chesser usernames on different platforms before me. And I'm like, I didn't even know anybody else had my same name. So yeah, search Eric Chesser to find me and follow me on.
Can't even trademark your own name, man. That's like how crazy the world is.
Yep.
It's unreal. And like you said, it's you're gonna be like, I don't even know. I was gonna try to change it, but Eric Chesser something. Yeah, you gotta add, like, spell it differently, but then it's not your name. It's like, dude, that's so wild.
Yep. There's another Eric Chesser. My family was dying last night when I showed them that. Like, this really handsome country singer.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
cool, man.
last words. I thank to you for having me on the podcast. I was sharing this with Ricky earlier. I'm like, podcasts usually aren't something to get me excited about. Like, it's nothing that I was like, oh, I'm passionate about podcasting. Every time I get on one, we've been on here for an hour 27, and I'm like, dude, we could go for so much longer. I've enjoyed the conversation. I'd love to do it again. And just thank you guys for allowing me on the podcast.
Yeah, man. I appreciate, like I said, the most valuable thing that people have is time. That I do not want to waste anybody's time. So I very much value your time, taking the time to sit down and talk to me. And are you going to come to Hawaii next year? You think you're going to make that happen?
My plan next year is to make Hawaii happen first, and kind of like the Alaska. So here's the problem, right? I have Alaska and Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put Molokai in the lead.
Okay.
I have Alaska as my second choice, but I'd love to make them both to happen. So the sooner I can get some dates,
Okay.
the better.
We're actually going to move the dates a little bit on Molokai because we're going to do Africa then. So I'll get with you on that. We're thinking like maybe July or something for Molokai. Is that better?
The further away it is from June 1st,
Okay.
the better. So like the second week of June, third week of June, July.
Okay. That's what we're thinking. We've got Africa set up for the first 2 weeks of June. I haven't told any of the other people, but we're looking at either end of June or 1st of July. I just met with Ryan today. So hopefully that'll work out better for you. We missed you, man. It was,
yeah.
Ben, I know you and Ben are really close and we missed you. So it was a good year. We had fun. Kip was there. Do you know Kip?
Nope. I think that was his first time.
Yeah. He's a good dude. He actually, he was on my last week's podcast. If you get a minute, listen to that. He's up in Salt Lake, but he would be okay. So there was my conversation with Eric Chesser. I really appreciate him and giving me the time and you the time all around. Come on and open up about a lot of things.
Count me in on that next year.
As you said, you heard, man, just a good, all right, man. Appreciate person, a good soul. I was really excited for this one and for a reason, and I knew it was going to be a deep, good conversation. A lot of pointers in there on, getting started with your entrepreneurial dreams. It's not always easy, very rarely easy. And I think a lot of people don't understand what these people that are at the top of their game, which Eric is, go through to get there. So I'm glad that there was some valuable insight on his journey, where he's come from, where he's been, and then to continue to grow. Excited that he's getting married. I think that's going to be a beautiful next chapter in his life, and hopefully children down the road. So great conversation. You guys obviously heard it. Hopefully you'll like, share, and review our podcast. And if you want to find Eric, you heard all the ways to track him down on social media through Eric Chesser or Hushin, and follow along with him. He's got great content. Hopefully we can collab in the future with M42 and Hushin. Great organization, great company, great people, and just people that I want to be around and do more with. So we're going to try to make that happen. He's obviously going to come next year on our Hawaii experience. And so just excited. That's why I'm doing this business movement, whatever you want to call it. To have conversations like I just got to have with a great person, and you guys get to see a little insight into his life and where he's been and where he's going is just, it's amazing, the world we live in. So hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for next week, and every Friday, new episode. So thank you for listening again to the M42 Adventures podcast, and we'll see you down the road. Thanks.